Welcome everybody to another episode of Shelfies. We're drinking some Black Flag Jungle juice, which is really awesome.
Little kitty cat on there.
We're at Antietam Brewery in Hagerstown. And actually, where exactly are we? I know we're close to some stuff, maybe?
Kind of, yeah. So we're so if you head up 70 towards I-81, we're off 81 North. I have like 14 hats, maybe 13. But I do, I'm an outside sales rep. I also do tastings, events, tap takeovers. I work in our tasting room. We do, Dan and I man the Facebook, social media, Instagram.
Let's start off with a little cheers.
Yeah,
Have
cheers.
A little cheers.
We didn't even do intros yet.
Cheers.
You guys know these guys, right?
Right.
They've been on here a time or
I'm the
two.
big-
Whoa, and look who's this.
I'm Erika.
Oh
my God.
From Antietam.
Yes.
He's a head brewer. He's the man. And what's happening? And
Thanks
he's got
for
a
having
little
us,
bit of
Dan.
a treat
Thanks
for
for
us
coming
today.
by. Appreciate it.
Rob, take
hello, girl.
a step down.
Here you go, my
Hey,
friend.
man, I just pulled this off the.
Oh, that is some haze for real.
So beautiful.
An NE IPA from Antietam Brewery. And Daniel,
My first ever, actually.
this is your first ever haze, legit haze beer.
I'm a West Coastie, man, so this is new for me.
Yeah, and this is like, the color is ideal to what I expect for like an NE IPA. It's got like that real like gold yellowish tint to it, and it's almost like electric. Am I allowed to take a sip?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, whoa. You sure this isn't straight juice?
It makes me want a little Eggs Benedict, to be honest with you.
It's a brunch.
It's a brunch beer.
That's awesome. So Antietam Brewery getting in the haze game. That has some bitterness to it. That's really good. That's really good.
It's a 55 IBU,
Nice.
6.5%.
Wow. That's so awesome. So is this oat kind of an oat-based?
Yes, there's oats, there's flaked wheat, there's lactose. There's all. December 16th, we're releasing this.
I'm sorry, what was it called again? I'm sorry.
It'll be called Fashionably Late.
Oh, fashionably late. Just like Robin Turd.
There it is.
There
we
it
were on
is.
time today.
We were on time.
Fashionably Late.
So we were talking a little bit before you joined us about how awesome it is to have so much space.
Yeah.
I mean, this is great. I mean, I feel like you've lost the micro touch a little bit because you guys have some room to like make some serious beer in here.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Like I think I told you guys a while back, chatting. I'm used to a lot more confined space, even in a larger brewery. The way we designed this facility, we have so much room to move around, get things done, dance if you so desire.
If you can do that.
I got my.
Depends on how much you drink.
That's right. We have a big wheel in house, and we got skateboards, so you can.
Panda.
You got Panda. Yeah.
Hey! Panda. 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 Panda.
Yeah, the Milk Stout wasn't released for, I think it was 2 years after that.
Yeah.
Like 2014 is when we actually did it. There's a real interesting story behind that beer. The first time I made that style was back in 99, 2000. And it had a different name. It was actually brewed, it was supposed to be a brew to kind of teach a young 19-year-old kid that worked in the kitchen at a brew pub I was at in Cleveland, about brewing. He wanted to learn. He was very interested in it, and we had discussed a style. He liked dark beers. He liked stouts. There were things about stouts he didn't really like. A lot of it, the bitterness that can come from some of them. An imperial stout, you've got the alcohol side, that burn. A lot of your typical, Irish or American stouts can have, a little bit of bitterness from the roasted malts and things like that. So I suggested a milk stout.
Nice.
It's malty, but and it has the color, it has everything you want, but there's no bitterness to it. The lactose really just kind of smooths everything out.
Makes it a little bit
It's
more
like a
on the
chocolate
sweet side,
shake.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
So
Yeah, this is a Shelfie too.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
you can get
So-
that wherever.
This used to be called back then, it was Blackbeard Stout, because the day we were supposed to make that beer, kid didn't show up. His name was Nate. I just figured he's 19. It's too early in the morning.
Right.
Come to find out, his brother showed up after I had mashed in, and I was actually Borlaugghing at the time. And he had passed away that morning.
Shit.
He had a freak anomaly in his heart, and he was in the hospital for about 3.5 hours and passed away that morning at 19 years old. He had for 19 years old, a pretty robust black beard. So I named it Blackbeard Stout in honor of his family, in honor of him. It was at his funeral. When it was ready, they actually delayed the funeral so that the beer was ready,
Oh wow.
which is amazing. Cool. Yeah, they had to pay through the nose for that. It was a sad time, but that same year I decided, well, the World Beer Cup 2000 is ready for entries. So I hand bottled samples just on a whim, paid for it myself, and won a silver.
Nice.
In the World Beer Cup.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's really crazy.
Yeah,
It
that's
was
awesome.
really
and it's cool
unexpected.
that you still have this like sentimental value to something that you still make.
Yeah, I do, and it's heartfelt.
So
So when I decided to make this with Antietam, it was for Bill, the owner of Benny's Pub, and he's my business partner here at Antietam. His son, which ironically today would be his son's birthday, passed away as a child to a brain tumor. And his name was Ben. And so Benny's Pub was named after his son that passed away. It's a tough time for him. Bill would probably be on the show today. But again, it's a tough time of year for him. So I approached him saying, you know, remember that memorial beer that I made, the Blackbeard Stout? I'd like to make that in honor of your son as my business partner. And
that's cool.
so we named it Little Ben's after Benny. And it's really cool that we're talking about
That's
this
really
on a
that's
day
really
like
cool
today.
because that's the
Yeah,
thing about
it is.
craft
It's
beer, and
really
that's
cool.
what I think Curtis, everybody involved in craft beer likes. There's always a story behind the breweries, the beers, the particular beers, things
Yeah.
like that. So that's an amazing story. It's, I mean, obviously sad and tragic, but I mean, this is what's come out of it. It's always it's a lasting tribute. And
Yep.
Story behind Little Ben's Milk Stout, it makes it even more delectable than than it already is.
Something you really
So,
care about, you know.
Absolutely.
And even though I make this so many times, you
but
know,
you always have that.
but every time I brew it, it's a special thing.
Right.
It's a special brew day because I remember Nate, that 19-year-old kid with dreams and aspirations, and then I think about this this young child that had to go through that, and what my business partner goes through, you know, every year like this and every day.
I
So,
think they're still around when when we're brewing too. So
yeah. There's an old story that Benny haunts Benny's Pub.
Oh, really?
Oh, every person that's ever worked there says it's true, especially at
he's
night.
around. He's around
We've
for
actually
sure.
noticed a few weird things around here. That
I've had beer cans fall on my head. I've had like things tug on my
for no
shirt.
reason. No reason.
I'm
It's
like
not like we have
standing in
a.
the middle of the bar, and all of
Yeah.
a sudden my shirt gets tugged on. So I think he's around here.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your history, because Cleveland was midpoint,
Yeah, I mean,
kind of.
if you go back, my first apprenticeship was actually with Widmer in Portland. I grew
Okay.
up West Coast. I'm born in Alaska, raised Portland, Oregon. At the time, Widmer was just a brew pub, believe it or not. I mean, you may have heard of that, B. Mullick Pub, Widmer Brewing. And the following was really just organic people of Portland coming to drink good German beer. The brewer at the time, it was just him. He allowed me to work for free. I mean, who wouldn't?
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
cleaning things out, scrubbing things.
Doing what brewers do.
Right. So for about a year, I worked under him for free while I served tables there at the brew pub. And he kind of helped me get into improving my homebrew recipes. I started homebrewing at 17, so now 2 years later. And he was such a smart guy, and it was inspiring. So that was my first apprenticeship. But then I went in a different direction for a while. I opened a bike messenger company in Portland and ran that. Ended up selling that and moving to San Francisco. Became a bike messenger there, this time not owning it. And kind of shooed my way into working for the Toronado as a bartender. It's a famous beer bar in
Right.
San Francisco. So the last time I got hit by a car as a messenger, Dave Keene, the owner of the Tornado, said, "You're done."
How long professionally have you been brewing now?
Professionally, even before and then after school, we're looking at about 26 years.
Whew.
So
That
this
is-
has been my life.
That's no joke.
After the World Beer Cup, I was hired on at Frederick Brewing. Back then, Snyder International owned it.
This is in the late 90s.
Yes, this was like 2000,
Okay,
right after the World Beer Cup.
Okay.
gotcha.
Snyder International had purchased Frederick Brewing. They also had purchased Crooked River in Cleveland, which ironically was the second apprenticeship I ever had in '96. So I was familiar with those brands. And they also purchased the Hudepohl Scholing Brewery in Cincinnati, which made Little Kings, Burger Beer, Hootie, all those. A lot of people forget most of what they made except for Little King's Cream Ale. That's still 7 ounce, 12 ounce, 40 ounce. International bought that brewery in Cincinnati and quickly realized that they didn't want to be involved in that style of brewery.
Right.
They were kind of really into the crafts, segment. So they sold it to Sam Adams, the Hudepohl Scholing Brewery. So that was actually, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody, Samuel Adams, that was their first brewery that they've actually owned, production brewery. And they are still brewing there today. Because of all the capacity, we were doing, I don't know, a dozen different contracts.
Were you
know,
doing
breweries, Terrapin
hemp and
Brewing.
ale then?
I made the last batch of hemp and ale, I think in 2001, if I'm correct.
Yeah, that's.
I didn't even see that. I've never heard of that in my life.
Yeah, that's.
That was a medal
weeks
winner.
ago we did the Tired Hands hemp beer, the sticks
Yeah,
and stones.
Yeah.
Seeds and stems.
Whatever it was. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how I can never think about it. It's like that's like the most. I feel like that's the most famous Frederick beer. It's like people still say something about hemp and ale.
Yeah.
Such a niche product, at the time. And they won medals, and it really kind of put Frederick Brewing on the map.
Ahead of its time a little bit.
What
So
did
that
the
was
hemp-
97.
You have to answer the question because we have to know this.
Yeah.
What did the hemp seeds do for it?
If the research I did as a brewer, I can say that hemp seeds tend to do nothing other than
It was just a gimmick.
there is a possibility that it can aid in head retention of the beer.
Some
So let's look
lacing.
at that. Some proteins, some things in there that can kind of aid in head retention. Maybe a little bit of a coriander sort of flavor you might get out of
Okay,
that. But
it was mostly a kind of.
I could have left it out of the beer. And
So
it
kind of like
wouldn't have-
adding flour.
No.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't have. No.
Who's,
Didn't do
I
that.
want to know whose seeds they were.
They
And
were
how
just
you got
in
that many.
big ass bags, like 50 bags, 50-pound bags of just hemp seeds, and we crushed them up and put them in the mash.
You did clay pipe too, right?
Clay pipe, yeah. We
The,
did clay pipe. We did Terrapin. We did Blackstone. In fact, Brewer's Alley. We did their first packaged product.
Okay.
Back in the day. So
We've interviewed Spike.
yeah, that's Spike.
He's
from
been in the
Terrapin.
beer aisle. Yeah.
A great guy.
He's been in the
One of-
beer aisle.
He was the guy that was. He and I saw the AFC Championship game, Steelers Broncos, in Denver.
Yeah, he's
Thanks,
out
Eric
and
Warner,
about.
Flying Dog.
I follow him on Instagram. I don't think that guy works anymore.
No, he doesn't.
He's like, oh, I see. He's going to shows. He's
Oh, yeah.
going to games.
Yeah, he's a deadhead, loves
flying
that.
out.
Oh, yeah.
He's
Yeah.
all around. That guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
We love him.
That's kind of your goal, right?
It is kind of my goal. But
Yeah.
that's
Just
Go to-
jealous.
unless somebody buys
living
the
that
show
deadhead
and gives me
life.
a lot
That's
of
it.
money.
Yeah. So, we had a ton of contracts. In fact, we made a caffeinated lager. It was a
Really?
company that never had a brewery. It was like, one of those white-collar brainchilds from a group of guys. It was called Third Rail. And,
I don't remember that.
Yeah, well, it's unmemorable. I basically just designed a bohemian lager, and they gave me the caffeine, which I had to calculate and pitch. Their goal was marketing.
Right.
So hot chicks, caffeinated beer, stay up all night, drink
Oh, goodness.
hot chicks.
It was like
caffeine.
Four Locals.
not
before
sustainable.
Four Locals,
Yeah.
but not as high ABV.
Correct. Yeah, it was like a normal ABV, like a
Robbie
five-
just took my thing.
like 5.5%, 5.3% beer, but
Did you used
Really?
to drink Four Locos?
What's that?
Did you used to drink the caffeinated Four
No,
Locos?
gross.
What's
headache,
wrong with you?
Headache City, man.
Yeah, that was not my thing.
I'm just joking.
Did you guys know each other before you started working here?
We had met at Benny's a couple times when we
Yeah.
worked for a different distributor.
Yeah, I used to work for another distributor, and I would do.
We might as well drink the
Yeah.
Might as well.
right?
Yeah, that one's
Yeah.
cold, right?
Yeah, I would
they're
always.
pretty cool.
Actually, one of the first times I remember meeting Dan, we were outside on the patio at Benny's, and he rolls up on this super sweet bicycle that he had won.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, like, sweet bike, where'd you get it? He's like, oh, I won it in a contest. Like, isn't this
Yeah.
awesome?
That was. I still love that
And
bike.
I just knew from that moment on
It's
we
a
were going to be
fixie.
good friends.
Oh, really?
As a former messenger, winning a fixie, winning any bike's awesome, but to win a fixie.
Well, I actually kind of have a little bit of a strange background. I graduated from WVU, so I drank a lot of like Natty Light, a lot of shit beer, because it was cheap and it was free because I was a girl. And then I graduated, started working for the Diageo brand, doing. I was
school or right when you graduated?
afterwards. Yeah, I was like a promoter for them, and then I worked for a bud house for a year, and then I harassed Antietam until they hired me. So here I am.
What was your connection with Antietam though?
Just being from Hagerstown, and I know that the brewery was getting ready to really blossom and do a lot of great things, and I really wanted to be a part of it. Called, and then they were like, to get you to
Jesus,
shut
hire her
up,
so she's-
like,
Yeah.
Phone bill.
can
will
we?
go down.
Yeah.
Christ's
I was,
sake.
yeah. So then they finally were like, all right, let's bring you onto a part of our team.
Well, it's nice
Yeah.
because we drink beer together, we taste different things together. It's nice to have, a sales staff that, as a brewer, I can drink with, and we're on the same page.
Is there anyone else you'd like to shout out?
Yeah, I mean, Matt Albers is another sales staff member here, does a great job. I've got Ronnie and Eric that are basically do whatever I ask them to do in the brewery, and they have never been in the industry before.
Okay.
So it's interesting, just training them from ground up. They know how to filter beer and clean tanks, and Eric's actually my packaging manager. He knows that canning line like the back of his hand.
That's awesome.
And he's a jack of all trades. He pretty much built this tap room.
Everything.
You know that
Yeah.
brickwork?
Did
all that
the
brickwork, yeah. I mean, that took him at least 7 hours.
It's wallpaper.
I mean,
Yeah, Rob. Rob
God, that was
Rob
awesome.
thought the brick wallpaper here was actual brick.
well, it's 3D wallpaper.
Yeah.
I can understand. You know.
We just did such a good job that we trick people all the time.
We want to
Oh,
get
yeah.
Daniel's take on the. Did we already do Daniel's take on the juice?
It's sour.
Yeah.
It's really sour. I like it. I mean, it's. Is this where are we at? Is this still?
Fruity.
That's not
That's-
it anymore.
That's
That
it.
might be yours, I think.
That's
Is
it.
that it?
I drank all mines. Mines.
Yes.
Yeah. So, very clean aroma. And you get a little of that funk, kind of back of your
back.
nose there. First thing that hits me is sourness. It's just so sour. And I guess maybe I'm used to the toned down version of Berliner Weiss that I made recently.
Right.
That you guys,
Which we're gonna.
yeah.
Which
Yeah,
we
I
have a
think that
can
jungle
of
juice is
somewhere.
Yeah.
really
Oh, it's
drinkable.
over there.
Yeah.
So,
Sorry.
yeah, I mean, this is definitely a refreshing beer, and would be something I would certainly partake of in the summer, for sure.
And now let's talk about your Berliner.
All right. I
We
actually,
tried it, so that's all you.
I forget, I could look it up, but I actually forget the exact lactobacillus strain I used. I know what it is, but the name is fleeting me at the moment. But it's an interesting lacto strain. It's not so active that you're getting your pH dropped so heavily in like 2 days. I mean, this is 4 days to get it tart, not exactly sour.
Right.
And when it hit the pH that it did after those 4 days, I was like, I don't think I want to go any more sour with this particular beer because, man, I've got this great German ale strain I'm going to finish fermentation with, and I like the malts that are in that, and I just kind of wanted it to be tart, not just, puckering.
And this is going to be a series, right?
Yeah. So this is the first can in a series.
Is
No,
that
that
going
we're-
to be all Berliners?
No.
No.
In fact, every single can is going to be completely different beer style,
Totally
Okay.
different
styles,
country
yeah.
of origin.
Oh,
So
nice.
this is the German, Berliner Weiss, a sour, so to speak. The next one to follow is going to be our Old Snow Shovel, which is it's basically an English old ale at 8.5%.
Wow.
So like a hybrid that I created, brewed with blackstrap molasses and Belgian candy sugar, which I did just for fun. But it's going to be so different from this. After that, we're going to have a hoppy variety
Okay.
going into the can number 3, and I'm kind of leaning in the direction of maybe a nice hop-forward Pilsner to work with, but I'm not going to...
So still on the German end or more Americanized
More of an Americanized hoppy
pills?
Pilsner, yes. So now we've covered Germany, we've covered England, and then we're going into an American hoppy Pilsner.
Okay.
And I'd like to finish it off with something Belgian. So I'll either be going in the direction of an Abbey, or quite possibly like just a nice Belgian strong ale. So as you collect them, it will create the entire photograph.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is this like a historical?
Yeah, it's a Civil War,
Antietam? Yeah.
Civil War Antietam
it
photo.
represents this area.
Correct.
That's cool.
Yeah, and it's not a anything to be taken politically
Right.
Yeah.
by any stretch. It's just kind of the history of the area.
That's awesome.
You're not going to see, American Confederate flags flying all over our
Right,
brewery. We're not on the political side of this, but we like the history of our area. Antietam being so close. So that's, I thought, kind of a cool thing. The other thing that we, I guess, decided to do was use my actual handwriting on every can. So
He
the
hand
style.
wrote every single can.
Yeah, right. Boy, that was painstaking. So it's kind of cool because you will see a different piece of art that I drew on there and what the style
That's
is.
awesome.
And that's how we're leaving it. So the Otto's Orchard Raspberry. Orchard Raspberry, yes.
that beer you like switch off, right, between raspberry
And boysenberry.
Okay.
Yeah. For now, we're just canning the raspberry, and the boysenberry is like a draft-only offering. Fall, winter.
What's the
time.
ABV on that?
6.5.
Okay.
Really?
And the beer's actually, the fruit ferments with the beer as
The
a
way it's
secondary. Yeah, the way it's supposed to, exactly. Secondary fermentation. So what you get there is an increased ABV, and you cut all the sugars and sweetness out of the fruit,
Right.
create a shelf-stable,
Like
Shelfies
a nice,
stable.
good fruit flavor without the
Essence. I like to say essence.
essence.
Like you smell it, you taste it,
Yeah.
but it's not like having
Oh,
a
look
Jolly
at the color.
Rancher.
The color is insane.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's really pretty.
Wow.
So there's like 600 plus pounds in a 30-barrel batch, I believe.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
Are they locally sourced raspberries, or do you have to sort of?
I get them from my homeland that grows the best raspberries, so Oregon.
There it is. Yeah.
So I pay it through the nose in shipping,
Right.
but they're wonderful.
That's
So
awesome. Well, I really appreciate you letting us come out here. You guys have been.
Thanks for
You rolled out the red carpet for us.
oh yeah.
This was awesome. I mean, we got to
Thank
try
you.
all your beers. I mean,
I even worked Sunday to make sure my brewing was done, so I had a day with you guys.
oh, thank you
There
so
it
much.
is.
Honestly,
He wanted to get that nipper done.
That's
sorry.
it, man. Yeah.
That's
I'm
it.
sorry. I'm sorry we had to reschedule.
Oh,
so
no.
I'm glad it ended up. working.
Cheers.
Cheers, you guys.
Cheers.
Whoop,
Yes.
I missed you, man.
Oh yeah, I forgot I got to stay seated or my head will get cut off from the screen.
This is great. This is great.